Several city leaders have their eyes on the White River today. They see it as one of the city's greatest and yet most overlooked assets. They're now looking at ways to capitalize on it, which included a recent trip to North Carolina. We've got our City Beat reporter Mary Mills live today along the White River with what they learned and what they envision here in Indianapolis. Hey, Mary.
Hey, Scott, with the exception of White River State Park, the White River has really never been developed, never been much of an attraction or destination, and Councilor Bob Ossoly says it definitely should be. He says there's just so much potential to do some really neat things along the river, not just here in Indianapolis, but in neighboring counties. So last week, he and a handful of other leaders visited the riverfront in Wilmington, North Carolina, which has been praised as one of the best in the country. Ossoly says it's time to start looking at the river as a rich amenity instead of a lost asset.
When you think about our peer cities, cities of our size that are on rivers, the vast majority of them have engaged their waterfronts and made them part of, the ambience of the city, the character of the city, the enjoyment of the city. And if you think about it, it really does change the quality of life. When you can go to your riverfront and have fun out there. So as we start to think about what our benchmark is, Wilmington comes to mind. What have they done? What did they learn? What does this look like? What's that process? What's the experience of being on their riverfront that maybe would be different from many others? And it's something that we could then take back, bring back to our thinking here as we think about the re-engagement of the river.
And I also asked him what his takeaways were from that trip, and he said one was, who would be the city's partners? He said it would be far better if some of the neighboring counties were also involved in developing the riverfront. He also said, what could Indy do to make their riverfront unique? When I mentioned things like mixed use, restaurants, parks, venues, he said all of the above. But Scott, this is still at least 7 to 8 years away, still very much in the early stages. We'll have much more, though, tonight at 5 and 6.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to cover that. Thanks so much, Mary.